looking at
Can you hear me? My mic is really far away.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right. There we go.
There we go.
What's going on?
Up, Max Ordinate Nation? As I'm staring at Jeff's clock in the back, it is 5 a.m. for myself. Oh, you're putting your hat on. Nice.
Backwards hat day.
So we're like we're like twinsies.
Yeah, samesies.
Hell yes. Yeah. And so staring at your clock, it's 5 a.m. for me. It's, I guess you have what, military time on it? No, you have regular human people time. 1 p.m.
Yes.
And then there's the
1 p.m.
If you can't say gay anymore, what do you say?
I don't know.
Like,
what do you say?
So, for example, like a homosexual, like if you're saying gay in a non-homophobic way,
I'm just here to watch you navigate this. Continue.
If you say gay in a non-homophobic way, is it okay?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm just asking. Like, I wanted to say that your clock has a gay cat on it, but would that be misconstrued?
I think no. I think that's okay to say.
I don't think it's
derogatory. As I figure out how to. Oh, there we go.
Right? It's not derogatory. It's just it's a gay cat.
In toast.
Is it got toast on it?
Yeah, it's toast.
Oh, I could not.
There's a lot going on with that cat.
There is a lot going on that screen. Anyways.
Yeah, there's a lot happening. So I'm currently, as you can tell, I'm currently remodeling my office space. I have my picture down. I'm going to
behind you. You have your helmet, your nods. You got your tripod back there. Don't go that way.
So,
now you're going to the
wrong
garage
direction.
door. What are you doing?
Hold on. Watch. So this is my new wall.
To edit.
It is. No, you just leave it all where it's at. I'm going to show you. So this is, it's going into my screen. So that wall is finally finished. Oh, there's my ceiling.
You forgot to do the
walls.
ceiling.
Well, no, it's not done yet. So what's happening is we're throwing in a new garage door. Where we go? New garage doors coming in, and it's going to be more insulated.
More insulated?
And it's going to, yes. So it's going to be super insulated. So I have a little mini split AC unit that went in, and it's not on right now, but it is going to keep it cool in here, and it's going to, there we go. And it's going to keep it warm in here, but that does me no good since I'm right next to the garage door that has no insulation. So I got a new garage door.
Directly behind you, it looks like you're standing there ready to get your prison picture taken.
Yeah, it does. That's my little golf putting. It's a putting mat.
Oh.
It's for putting. I just threw it on the wall because the wall is in pieces. I don't have the rest of my soundproofing in yet.
I didn't know if it was
that wall
to make you look taller than what you really are.
No, this wall will get soundproofed. And my safe will be moved. So just lots of rearrangement. We're going to do a little bit for the ambiance in here and give me some space because the safe will be, once the garage door's installed, I can start moving stuff around. But I have to clear this whole space out to install the new garage door.
I feel like we're going backwards here because you had all this remodeling in the garage. And then you're like, okay, I got to put my office back together so we can podcast. And then you put your office back together. And now you got to tear it all apart.
And then I pull it right back apart. Yeah. What's so hard to understand about that?
It's not the understanding part. It's the, maybe you should have done the garage door like 2 weeks ago.
This garage door has been on order for like 2 months. They just take forever, like everything. But we have lots of pool progress, which I was going to send you pictures of, but
did you get the photo of the red pool?
No, what are you talking? No,
I sent you a photo, a screenshot of a person
you just sent me nothing
built in their backyard. Yes, I did. I sent it.
You sent me nothing.
I sent it to the Max Ordinate management page. Yes, it's there.
I got nothing.
It's a picture. It's a screenshot. Dude, I'm going to pull it up right now for you. It's a screenshot.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're lying. You're lying to me right now. Look, I go to the top.
You can say whatever you want. It doesn't.
I go to the top. I hit the group page, and then it says show all media. Look at this.
Hold on. I'm not even going to look up.
I mean, it's all backwards right now.
No,
how sick is that? It's a vampire pool, dude. You need to do that shit.
We went with traditional white.
White.
But it's not installed yet. So the plaster's not done yet. So I still have time to convince her of that.
Isn't traditional blue?
Yes, but it looks, yeah, see, there it is. I got it. You're not a liar.
Yours is, yeah. The way your color scheme is right now, your pool looks yellow. Pea yellow.
Yeah. So I think they're gonna, all the tile has to be done around the top. The coping's gotta be finished. We're doing all the landscaping, and then we'll plaster it. So we're getting close. We're making progress. Maybe 4 weeks. Maybe by the time you get here, we can swim.
Oh, 4 weeks, dude. I'll be there in 16 days. You need to hurry this up. You need to hurry this up. If this was 10 years ago, I'd have some things to say right now, but I don't think I could say it because it's 2023 and people are weird.
It doesn't really. So, okay. So let's talk about things. Ask me what I did this weekend.
Golf?
No.
What'd you do?
I broke the one promise I made you, the thing I was going to do, which was go to the range and get some training in on Saturday for PR2.
You know what? I was actually told that you were going to be there on Saturday, and then I didn't hear about you being there. So
I know, no.
What happened?
And then Nick hit me up on Sunday. He's like, "Hey, where you at?" So Thursday I had to drive to Ventura, at insurance renewals and a bunch of other stuff. But I spent like basically 7 hours in the car, and that's the one thing that'll kill my back. So the weekend I was laid up, feeling better now, but yeah, I was pretty bummed. I had everything ready to go. Disappointing. So instead of that, I stayed home and I did a bunch of dry firing on my tripod.
There you go. There, yeah, right there.
I did something. I'm bummed I didn't get to the range, but at least I did put some work in.
Hell yeah.
But that goes back to, you don't have to go to the range to put in some work. You can do it at home.
You don't. So since we're talking about shooting guns and, I guess that'll be just a short segment of this episode because, I mean, we have more important things to talk about than shooting, right?
Yes, we do.
So yesterday for the Marines, for the urban sniper course here, yesterday was our alternate positions and barricade qual, right? So, I mean, you've sat through my classes, and anybody else that's ever taken any training or watched, like if you go to the Patreon account and you watch the class that I uploaded about, supported positional shooting, like shooting from a barricade and shooting from alternate positions, there's no difference. Like you have this wooden barricade that's got a top level and then 2 side levels and then a lower level on each side. So there's 5 positions. And then you think about alternate positions like your barrels, your rooftops, your stuff like that. The principles are the same. You apply the principles, you succeed, everything's fine. So for a long time, barricade was its own qual, right? 5 positions, 2 targets per position. And then alternate positions was its own qual. So for the first time ever, we've combined these two, right? And we have a course, basically like a course review coming up. So we wanted to run this as a test to see how we liked it. And so we have this new qualification where it combines barricades and alternate positions. So we ran that yesterday with the Marines. And before the qual, right, we set up all the targets, put them in new locations, and we've got the barricade, 5 positions, and then we've got it basically like roomed off. Like we put up walls so that they have to go to different rooms, right? So you go to the next room and it's a staircase and you got to shoot off of that. You go to the next room and it's a 55-gallon drum. You got to shoot off of that. Then you go to the next spot and what was it? A rooftop. And then you go to a ladder behind a window, and then you go to the balcony and shoot off the balcony. So that's the entire course fire right there, 10 positions. So the way that we broke it down was for the barricade, you had 3.5 minutes to engage one target per position, and they're marked out for you. So all you had to do was locate the target and engage it, right? And then after your 3.5 minutes, then moving to the alternate position. So let's say you go to the staircase. Once you enter that room, you have 1 minute to find the target that's associated with the staircase and engage it. And then you move to the next room, you have 1 minute, right? So you have 1 minute blocks for each room. So the total amount of time a shooter would have is 8.5 minutes, right? And it was solid. It was set up good, and the wind wasn't too bad. I would say it was between 4 and 8 miles an hour all day, right to left, full value. But before we got started on any of this, I was down chatting with the guys, and I'm asking them, I'm like, what do you think you're going to shoot today? And, you know, one guy's like 84, right? 80 is passing. So the scoring system, Jeff, the way it works is you get a first round hit, it's 10 points. So the max score you could get off 10 targets is 100. If you miss the first round, you got to follow it up. You hit second round, you get 8 points. If you miss both, you get a 0, obviously, right?
Okay.
So he says 84. I'm like, 84? And then I look at another kid, and I'm like, hey, what do you think you're going to get? He's like, 86. I'm like, okay.
He's setting some fucking low bars for himself.
That's what I was saying, dude. I was like 86, 84. And then, you know, Garcia, you know, another guy. And I like to, I want to say place bets with these guys, but, you know, I'm not trying to take money or anything from them. You know, it's nothing illegal. It's more like friendly bets, or like, hey, I'm going to give you this patch if you succeed, or, you know, you got to give me your name patch if you don't succeed, something like that. So there's got to be some rewards in there. But, you know, I go to Garcia. I'm like, hey, what are you going to score? He's like, 80. I'm like, bro, that's the minimum passing score. He's like, I don't want to set the bar too high. I was like, why not? Why not set the bar too high? He's like, well, he's like, are you going to shoot it? I'm like, of course I'm going to shoot it. I shoot every qual that you guys shoot. He's like, okay, what are you going to score? I was like, motherfucking 98. He's like, you're going to shoot a 98. I was like, yep, 98. I was like, that's about on par for what I do for this course fire. He's like, all right. I was like, you want to change your answer? He's like, no. So I'm like, all right, so you're going with the 80. I was like, how is this little wager of ours going to work? And he's like, how about whoever's closer to the number? I'm like, all right. So I got to shoot 98 or somewhere around it, and you got to shoot an 80 or somewhere around it. He's like, yes. I'm like, all right, sweet. So fast forward, we set all the targets up, right? And we give them prep time. So they have 3 minutes to go up into that space and find the targets and use their range card and get ranges and shit, right? So fast forward, everything's in place, and I grab my rifle, and they're not allowed to watch me do it, right? They can't watch each other shoot the course fire. So I have one of the other instructors. He watches me. Now, the only difference is they all get their partner to spot for them, and I just went through this solo, right? So I get up there, and I'm crushing it, dude. Like first position, second position. I get through all 5 positions, and I'm clean, baby. Like first round hits, wind calls are on point. I'm smacking these targets center. And then I get to the staircase, right? Target number 9, it sticks out to me. I had lased it somewhere around 520. And I get on the staircase, boom, I take my shot. This is the only target on the whole range that doesn't have a backdrop, right? If you miss, it's who knows where the fuck it's going, right? There's no splash, there's no indicator, and seeing trace on a 308 is not that easy. So I'm on the staircase, boom, I take the shot, and I don't get the hit call. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I'm like, oh, maybe it was wind. So I like increase my wind to an 8-mile-an-hour hold, boom, shoot, nothing. I'm like, damn, I'm sitting at a 90 now. If I clean the rest of the targets, I'm sitting at a 90. So I go through the rest of the stages, and I don't miss another shot. But target 9 got away from me, dude. And after the course fire was over, I went back, and I was like, hey, you know, get on target 9 and just spot for me, and I'm going to hold the exact same thing. And what happened was my wind calls were good, but I was underneath the target. I had misranged it, or something went wrong with the distance, and I wasn't able to pick up where the bullet was going. So I go downstairs. I'm like, hey, Garcia, I set you up, buddy. All you got to do now is get close to an 80. Like, I shot a 90. I'm 8 points away from what I predicted. Like,
there's a scenario here where Garcia can just not qual and still win.
So check this out, dude. Here's Garcia. Okay. And he's one of the first shooters to go through, and I'm proud of him. Like, you know, a lot of people don't want to go first, and he's up there, and he's, you know, he's one of the first teams to go through. And I'm spotting. He's got his partner behind him, and he's going through the barricade and just impact. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude's killing it, right? And he's like, between all the instructors, each instructor has a team of 2 people that they are responsible for coaching, and you know, so Garcia is one of my teams. I have 2 teams that I'm responsible for, so I'm proud to see him doing well. And he's just going through, dude, impact, and I'm like, fuck yeah, right. He gets all the way through. He even hits target 9, the target I couldn't hit. And he gets all the way through to, I want to say, the 7th position. And he's clean right now, dude. He's rocking a 70. Sorry, an 80. All he's got to do is hit the last 2 targets, and he's going to get 100%. I don't want to say anything, but at the same time, I kind of want to say something like, yo, Garcia, you kind of have to miss these 2 last targets if you want to win. So anyway, he goes through, he misses the last target first round, follows it up, gets the impact. He's got a 98. So he clears his weapon, and I'm like, hey, that was awesome. Shoot him, you know, give him a little fist bump, but you lost the bet. He's like, I know I lost the goddamn bet. And I'm like, you shot a 98, bro. You're 18 points over what you predicted. He's like, I know. I was like, I'm proud of you, but I won. You know, where's my reward at? So we have a lot of fun with it, dude. This course fire, it was challenging. I would say that class average score out of 11 guys, we had 4 that didn't cut the mustard. They fell below the 80% threshold. Not by a lot, but I mean, 80's 80. You got to hit 80. Or
80's already a low bar, right? So, yeah, so that's bare minimum.
They're going to have to give it another go today for the requalification. But man, it's fun, you know. And I had another student, as I'm talking to Garcia, and I'm like, 80, you know, what the fuck? How are you going to predict yourself to be so low? And this other guy's like, Garcia, don't listen to him. He's trying to mind fuck you right now. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not trying to mind fuck you. What I'm trying to do is understand why you guys get so stressed out over qualifications. Like, there are going to be more stressful times in your life, especially in combat or anything to do with your job, than this qualification. So why is it that all week we can shoot good, right? Even on small ass targets. Like, you know, that was one of the things I changed when I showed up here, is like, we need to stop shooting these big ass targets. We have size standards for the qualification. Like, the targets must be a certain size if they're at X distance, right? But for practice, we can do whatever we want. So yeah, I've got like 8x8 paddles at 500 meters, and, you know, hitting that target's extremely hard, but I don't care. Like, it's going to make you fine tune your wind calls. It's going to make you do better. It's going to make you want to be more stable to try and hit that target. So I feel like that's been a huge benefit for these guys learning. But then come qual day, dude, these guys are like quiet. They don't want to talk. They're just like, they're all clammed up. And I'm like, you need to embrace this stress, you know, like, I'm not trying to get in your head. I'm trying to like loosen the mood around here, because you guys should be attacking this the same way as if it's just another day. So what is it about being put under the pressure? Like, I feel like I love pressure. Anytime I get pressure or people challenge me, like, it pushes me to do better, you know, like everything slows down for me, because I'm in this mode of like, here's the pressure, I need to perform, so I need to slow down and think about what I'm doing. what is it about pressure that just makes people clam up or crack? You know, like, have you been in that spot?
Yeah, I mean, it's certain people can. I don't want to say it's two different things, right? So pressure comes from two things: either there's high stakes on the line or self procrastination, and you have something you have to take care of, and those are two different types of pressure that two different types of people put on themselves. I'm both, right? So I procrastinate because my my ADHD, whatever it is, I put stuff off to the last minute, but I perform best under pressure. Um, I have learned that I don't perform well when there's no stakes on the line. Where some people are completely opposite. Some people can just, if there's nothing that is of consequence, they do really good. But the moment you put any pressure on them, they fall apart. I don't, to be honest, I don't know a ton of those people because I don't really associate with all those people.
Yeah.
Not purposely. It's just, we kind of keep similar company. So you're the same way. Like, when there's pressure on the line, you elevate your performance, you don't fall apart. And that's just a character trait, I think.
Yeah. Do you think it can be trained into a person?
It can. I mean, let me ask you this: the qual for your Marines, is this a qual that they've gotten into the class, they've gotten to this position, and now if they don't qual, they're done and they bounce, right?
No. Like, if they've, like, the way that this grading scale is set up is you have your holdover shoot, which is prone.
Mm-hmm.
You have your tripod shoot, you have your barricade shoot, you have your alternate positions. You have 4 qualifications, and they're all wrapped into one score. So let's take, for instance, Jeph, you're the student. For the prone holdover shoot, you shoot 100. And then maybe you're not doing so hot on tripod. It's your weakest area. And, you shoot the qual off the tripod 2 times. And the best score that you've gotten is a 78. It's not 80%, but you're not out of the fight yet, right? You got a 78, got it. And then you move over to the barricade qual, and you're a little bit better on barricades, and you shoot at 86. And then you move over to the alternate positions, which is like your jam. You shoot really well from those positions, and you shoot a 98, right? You take all 4 of those scores, you add them together, divide by 4. What's the average? As long as the average is above 80%, you have passed that phase of marksmanship.
Gotcha. So, I mean, it's not even, then I don't know. It's not even that there's a ton on the line, but there's really not that much unless these guys are falling apart. Like, they know how to do this.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean,
one of the other things I saw,
I don't know if you can train that into people or not. I would suspect you can, right? By just, basic, stress inoculation. But, some people just don't do well under stress. Maybe those guys don't need to be in that position.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know what it is, because, like, you'll take a shooter who doesn't make the 80% threshold the first time around.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second time around, the pressure's off. He's already failed the first time. His score, even if he passes the second time, cannot be better than 80%. He's going to get the lowest possible grade on that thing. So the second time around, there's no pressure. They're fucking rolling through positions smooth and easy. And it's like, you should have done this the first time, So, and I was telling another guy, I'm like, dude, if anybody has pressure, it's me. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, you're good. I was like, what does that have to do with it? I'm like, the fact that you're telling me I'm good even adds pressure to my situation. I'm like, look across the entire firearms industry or any military school you've ever been into, right? Out of 100% of the instructors, what's the percentage that has actually done the qualifications with you? 30%? Like, is that a common thing where you actually get to see the instructor shoot the course of fire? Like, a lot of people don't, because of that fear of students seeing them fail, right?
Yeah, and I just had this conversation with one of my guys today. we were talking about one of his subordinates, one of the guys in his team, I don't want to say failing, but struggling. And the conversation I had with him today was exactly that. If he fails, then it's because of me and it's my failure. If his guy fails, it's because of him. It's his failure.
Yeah.
So it's always the teacher, the instructor, it's the leader. The failure is on them if your team doesn't cut the mustard. So that's a lot of pressure. It's not like, okay, yeah, those guys didn't make it, no big deal. I mean, if they put in the work and they weren't good enough to move forward, then that failure is on you, and that's tough.
That's definitely another point to it, right? Like if my two teams don't do well, then it's exactly like you're saying, like that falls on me. Did I not do enough to help these guys out, to teach them the right stuff? Was I not on their ass calling them out when they were doing things wrong, or was I just let shit fly? So all kinds of pressure, and I love it, dude. I'm just like, give it to me right now. I'm not.
Yeah, what a great environment to be in.
I'm not happy that I missed target 9, but
yeah,
I tell these guys all the time, like, I miss so much. I try to not miss when it counts, but I still miss just like the rest of you. I think the difference is that anytime I miss, I'm trying to solve why so that I don't repeat that mistake, right? So another interesting thing I pulled away from this is watching some guys go through. Out of the 11, 4 didn't make the cut, right? And what was interesting is out of those 4, 3 of them had identical situations where they're going through the barricade and they're doing well. Like all of them, I think, had identical scores. First round hit on the first target, second round hit on the second, and then clean for the remaining 4 or 3 or however many, right? And then they would get to the staircase or target number 9 and they would double miss. So now they got a 0. They can't get another 0 or they're going to fail. And then they would move over to the next target, get a double miss, right? And what you're seeing is they were up here and then it just started like a fucking kamikaze plane.
It's like my golf game.
Fucking ground, dude. So it's interesting to see how if you can't let go of what just happened, like you get that double miss, if you can't forget about that and move on to the next target and reset, it has that ability to just suck you down, like you drag the life out of you, and you got to let it go. So
the mental part of it is so tough because, again, like my golf game, I can shoot one over level on the front. As soon as I have a couple bad shots, I have to remind myself I can't take that shot again.
Yeah,
it happened. Shit happens. Move forward. You're cleaning a stage, and you double miss. You got to let go of that. You have to replay the first 7 stages in your head, not the last one that you just missed on. And that's a hard thing to do.
It is.
It really is.
We talk about this on the competition side, where like you go to a competition, you might be doing well, and then you have a bad stage and you can't let that stage drag you down or the rest of your day is going to suck, like.
So let me ask you this, when you're competing, because this is something that I do, and my coach reminds me that I need to do, and a lot of good golfers do, is that when you're struggling or you're competing and there's something on the line, golf's all about feel. So for me, it's replaying a shot in my head. I have a couple of shots that I go to that I remember when I hit this shot, this is what I felt. And it was this nice, high draw. It was a 160 out, whatever it was, but I replay that feeling in my head and I replay that shot to give me that feeling so I could hit that same shot again. Is that something that you do in competition to get yourself in a mind space? Or is there something like, I remember this trigger pull, I remember this target similar, and just a feeling that you can get to set you in a mindset, mechanics aside?
I don't know if I have necessarily
to get external, I guess.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know if I have necessarily a feeling that I go back to. Maybe it's just I don't think it's something that I've thought about in that respect before. But I will sit there and try to remind myself, right? And where I really feel it happening is, not the beginning of the match. When the match is first starting, like you're in the zone, dude. Like you're there. You know why you're there, right? So obviously you want your first stage to be a good one. So you're focusing on like, okay, this is my plan. These are the targets. This is what I got to hold. This is what I think the wind is doing. Like you go through, I have this very strict setup plan that I go through, right? It's like this mental preparation. So the first few stages are not the problem, right? The problem is as you become mentally more fatigued, then you start to stray away from what you do, right? Like you have this swing or this hit or, whatever you're, that you're referencing, you have this thing that you go back to. And I have this preparation model that I follow. Like every stage I have to do it this exact way. So I know that I'm prepared to go up there and perform. And as you get 6 or 7, 8 stages into it, and you start bullshitting with people, you're hungry, you fucking want to eat, like maybe you don't eat, you're not drinking water, like whatever it is, like you start to get sidetracked off of this process. And maybe I'll have a bad stage and I'm like, okay, I got to forget what just happened in terms of letting myself down. Why did it happen? How do I fix it? And I got to get back into my fucking method of madness so that I don't let this happen again, So it's easy to get mentally strayed or forget about the process.
And I think that's kind of the same thing, right? So part of what, if remembering bad shots, bad hits, bad stages, bad impacts, whatever it is, if remembering those and not letting go of those can screw up our process, then at some point to get ourselves back on track, possibly remembering, referencing other good stages may help us with our process. So for me, what screws you up is just that. It's the process. Every golfer should have a good solid pre-shot routine that you go through. But what happens with me, I get one bad shot and I throw it out the window. I'm like, fuck, I'm just going to go up and hit the ball.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go through my process. I'm not going to have my 3 different boxes I'm going to go to. I'm just going to walk up and hit the ball and hopefully it's good and I can move on to the next one. So it's the same thing. The mental fatigue after being on the course for 2, 3, 4 hours at this point, makes you screw your process up. So as you miss stages, you miss a target, that mental fatigue will not allow you to continue your process, your method, in order to make hits on target. So there's a lot of, in my mind, there's a lot of parallels and similarities and just in the mental process of it.
Oh yeah, 100%, man. And that's part of the game, right? Whether you're golfing, you're shooting, or you're playing any type of sport, really, like the mental aspect is there. And depending on what level you're at, right? If you look at the most elite, right, even down to the great, to the good, and to the average, the mental game plays a factor. And I think at a certain point, right? At a certain point, your skill level is probably good enough to put you in that elite category. Now, I feel like golf is a different animal only because I played it like twice and I still can't hit the fucking ball straight. So, but I don't know, maybe not, right? Whereas like rifle shooting, you're dependent on a mechanical device to help you, right? Whereas golf, it's kind of like you in this golf club and you got to hit this fucking thing. And I see the similarities, but at the same time, like I could see where they kind of like veer off from each other. But
yeah, for sure.
At a certain point, like you have the skill level to jump up into the next category, right? Well, maybe you're average and you practice, and now you have the skill to be in the good or the great category. But if you haven't worked the mental angle of it, you will not reach that category because your mental avenue is keeping you down in the average category. Does that make sense?
And absolutely.
probably got to be the same with golf and any other, sport out there, where as much as you want to train all the physical stuff, the mental aspect has got to go with it, or you just can't reach the same heights, like I feel like there's a lot of,
guess,
go ahead.
So I wonder if there's a portion of your class of what we teach, of what you're teaching now. I wonder if there's any portion of it that would have some type of, I wonder if there's a mental portion, like a mental coaching portion that could ever be added. And this is just kind of a talking point of spitballing things, right? If we find over time that the average failure is a self-stress induced, or they just fall apart under pressure for quals or whatever it is, I wonder if there's something to work in of, hey, this is how you deal with that. Because that's, for at least for your Marines, I think that's relevant. For competition, for the average guy, it's not so important. But I don't know. I wonder if there's like a mental coaching aspect that, there's a little bit of, hey, this is how you deal with it. Because you're obviously, you personally, you have experience with that, and you you kind of thrive off that, right? How do you teach that to your guys that are going out to combat? Teach them kind of how to thrive off that stress in order to be successful and come home.
I mean, it's a good question. I would say on one side, if you look at every class that we teach, the mental aspect is discussed and approached in terms of the preparation, right? Like your pre-fire checklist, like doing things the same way every time. And then you go to our competition classes, and the entire second day is dedicated to your mental process and getting into that stage with a plan. But as far as like dealing with the letdown or a bad stage, that would be an interesting addition. But I think I'd have to put a lot of thought into how you would set that up.
I mean, I think you already touched on it. I specifically, I was kind of talking about pre-quals and pre-comp, right? We already do it in the competition class, which is sort of preparing for it. And I guess a portion of that is just compartmentalizing different things you need to do in order to take the shot. And maybe that's the mental aspect. Maybe that's the how you deal with the pre-shot stress, getting into those situations, which is compartmentalizing all these little tasks you have to do for your pre-shot, so you take the big picture out of it, right? I think a lot of these guys, where they fail is they're so big picture, they can't focus on the tasks at hand in the pre-shot and the process. So I think in the competition classes it's taught. I just didn't know if you did anything like that for the Marines.
So with the Marines, it's kind of the same thing. It's not so much competition based, but it is like, here is mental management. Here is your pre-fire checklist. Like, your process is unique to you. Like, you are going to do certain things, and I'm going to do certain things, and things that I do might be based off my experience, and things you do may be based off of your experience. But either way, we both have to get to the same point, right? We both have to get to the same point where we press the trigger, we observe the shot, and we receive the information that we have gained from that shot impacting the target or the dirt, right? So we have to hit the same wickets along the way. Like, did we build a position? Did we locate our target? Did we build an actual point of aim? Like, you have this pre-shot checklist. You have also like preparing to go up to this position. You see the position. How do you think your position is going to be there? Or, how are you going to build bone support? How are you going to get a stable platform? Like, all of this stuff is pushed in the military course as well. It's just not on a competition format, right? But I feel like, since we're talking about this, there is a quote that I saw. Man, how old am I now? Probably 20 years ago, I saw this quote, and it stuck with me. It was painted on the wall at our battalion headquarters, and it it really drove something home to me. Maybe that's where like the whole transition happened, right? But it said victory loves preparation. So the more you're prepared, the more ability you have to deal with. Can you call it a letdown? You know, like you have a bad shot, you have a bad stage, like whatever it is. But the more prepared you are, even through a failure, you are prepared to move forward and continue with the mission or the task or whatever it is, because you are prepared, right? I feel like unpreparedness I think, is where you get let down.
I think missing target number 9 is a perfect example. Because of your preparedness, you didn't question anything other than, I need to look at a couple of things to figure out why I missed it. You didn't think, okay, well, bad bone support, I pulled the trigger, it wasn't where I thought it was. It was, let me go check my wind and let's throw a laser on that real quick, because you've prepared for that. You missed, it happened, right? Let's just figure it out real quick and move on, versus I missed, now I'm going to blow the next 2 stages because I'm falling apart and I'm second guessing myself now.
Yeah.
And so I think that quote's amazing, right? Victory loves preparation. Being prepared will not only help you be successful and be victorious, but I think it'll also help with the letdowns.
Yeah. No, 100%, man. 100%. Well, dude, I'm trying to look at what our
Can you hear that scream? Can you hear that screaming dog?
No. You have a really good microphone.
All right, this mic is working.
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
yeah. Mm-hmm. I can't hear shit other than you and that damn cat with the rainbow ass on it.
I know. Oh, and well, do you like this? This is, I can add pretty much anything I want to that.
That's pretty.
I love that little thing.
I need one.
I got here targeted by an Instagram ad.
All right. Well, hey, dude, the last thing I wanted to chat about before we get out of here, I think we're running around 40 some minutes of talk time right now, which is about the longest anybody has ever listened to us consistently.
Yeah.
But I'm going to throw it up on the share screen really quick because I'm kind of excited about it. We just purchased a couple of these to get them into the training courses. So here we go. All right. And share. So this is a pocket rangefinder, right? Made by Vortex. Let me put a better picture on here. There we go. So the Razor HD 4000, right? And it says GB. It has geoballistics on the inside of it. And it should pair with your phone. So now you can use the geoballistics app with your pocket rangefinder. And I think it's pretty solid, dude. Now, I'm not a huge fan of monoculars, depending on the situation. Like, you're a hunter, you go out, you pull up a monocular, trying to target ID or find something with a single monocular tube is not easy.
Yeah, it's a little more difficult,
right? Perception.
Yes, I've learned to deal with those, and because my IPD, so my pupil distance is so narrow that most binoculars don't work for me. I actually have to take most of them, grind the centers out so they go closer together. So I've learned to use a monocular, whether it's my rangefinder or spotting scopes versus binoculars. And although I'm not opposed to Vortex, like the Razor HD2 is great piece of glass. I just prefer the loopholes. I do love what Vortex does with their price points with things like this. Their rangefinders, their spotting scopes, they're and anything with like a little technology in it, man, they really do a great job of keeping the price down and making it a good piece of equipment.
Yeah. Well, what I loved about it, dude, is that it's got geoballistics inside, which I've been using for like the past 8 years. It's been my go-to app. All of our students learn how to use this app. I mean, it's super user-friendly. So I'm excited for this. I think having a pocket laser rangefinder is something that is not taken advantage of enough, right? So
now if I can, I'm going to just assume by the name it's a 4,000 yard rangefinder.
So let's look here. Let's scroll down. Let's see. Specifications? Nope. Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
so
reflective
range
4,000.
is 4,000 yards. Trees
that is
is
fucking
2,500 yards.
Insane.
And a deer
I
is
can remember. I can
2,200.
remember getting 1,000 yards about 10 years ago was going to cost you, $2,500 to get 1,000 yards.
Oh yeah.
So the fact that we're at a point now where you can get 4,000 yards of reflective for $1,100 with geoballistics built in is just insane.
Right. So we picked up a couple of these, and then we also got a couple of these. They are binoculars, the Fury 5000 HDs with applied ballistics on the inside. I did reach out to Vortex and talk to them. I was like, hey, are you guys putting
Can we get it with
in the binos? And they're like, we are, but it's not ready yet. I'm like, son of a bitch. Okay, it's fine.
So when it is,
yeah,
I will take these home with me. Because I know for a fact I can grind these to work close enough for my eyes.
I mean, so I'm excited for these. If you look at the ranges here, reflective range 5,000 yards, tree range 2,400 yards, and deer range is 1,600. So
yeah, I mean the gold standard was always the Leicas, and what was the range on those for cost, right? Like again, for $1,900, 5,000 yards for a binocular with applied ballistics built in is just unbelievable.
So a couple things that you can look at is for people like you got your interpupillary distance right here, 58 to 72.
And I'm a 54. I end up having to grind where they meet in the middle in order to bring them close enough. But I know those ones I can because they actually have a rubber coating on them. And just cutting that rubber coating off is enough to bring them close enough.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Another specification that is sometimes you got to dig for it. It doesn't look like I can find it right now just on the page, right? But anytime you're looking at laser rangefinders, what is the beam divergence, right? And what that means is like you got this laser coming out, and this laser is like a cone. The farther away from you get, that laser gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So how big is that cone downrange? And I've always been interested in like, okay, we've got these Fury 5000 binos. They cost $2,000. If you compare them to the Leicas or, any other high dollar rangefinder, maybe like the Vectors, some of these extremely expensive rangefinders where they're $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. You'll notice that the biggest difference is not just the glass and the clarity, but the beam divergence is extremely smaller. So I can't find the information easily right now. It's probably going to be something I have to look up or dig through the manual.
And that's where the technology comes in, that you either, it's one of those things where it becomes a point that you just have to pay for it, right? Because they're not manufacturing those laser diodes. And so just like a Doppler radar, Doppler makes a couple different size chips. So if you have a piece of equipment that's $500 and it say it's a golf rangefinder, right, for balls, well the Doppler chip inside that thing is half the size of your pinky nail versus say the one that's in a TrackMan, which is the size of your hand. So when someone's buying a laser diode, there's only a couple people that make those. They cost what they cost, and sometimes you're spending $5,000 if you want that primo product. It doesn't mean that a $1,900, again though, I'm not ranging things out to 5,000 yards, but I know that at 2,000 at 2,500 yards, it's going to be spot on, no matter which piece I use. So at that price, I still think they're fantastic.
Oh, dude, so do I. And I'm excited to get them in our hands and get them in some of the courses and play around with them. So I think it'll be a good addition, man. All right, my man. Well, I know that you got things to do, like stretch and go to your physical therapy.
You can see me moving.
Do your one-legged squats and your torso rotations.
All the fun stuff.
I'll let you get back to that, and don't forget to decide. Well, you don't get to decide. Let me take that back. Don't forget to talk to the wife the boss and, you know, suggest that the pool would look really cool red. Just
I will tell her. She's probably within earshot, and she's probably going to say what in about 2 seconds. So I'll ask her.
Very cool, man. All right, brother. It was good talking to you. I'm glad we got to get back on this after a week off, and good to see you back home.
And that's on me. I know we just talked about how we're going to be back at it full time, but I pulled my back. Some things happened, and it is what it is. So we're looking good for good for this week, and we'll talk in a couple of days.
Awesome, man. Sounds good. I'll chat with you later.
All right, brother. Peace.
See you.